Yo guys, welcome to ShayanGaming to a guide on the new champion Neeko. We're going to go through some tips on her abilities, her leveling up, her combos, runes and item builds, so I hope you enjoy. Starting with some tips on her passive Inherent Glamour. When you're taking an ally's form, you can actually auto attack, so this includes auto attacking minions, but obviously if you attack an enemy champion, your form will break down, so you can pretend to be someone else and farming. But remember, you don't take your ally's AD, so if you pick, for example, your ADC and they have massive AD and the enemy can see that you're doing barely any damage to the minions, then they're going to know it's you. One thing I like to do is take an ally that's really fed, and let's say I'm low on health, I just take their form. Obviously the health then increases because they see the ally's health bar and then they're really afraid of you and they run away, and then you can just get to safety like that. In case you're wondering, some of the things that you do and don't take of your ally in terms of stats are, so starting with things that you do take their their base movement speed. So when you're walking back to lane, you can always choose your ally that has the highest base movement speed and get back to lane faster. You obviously show their health and mana bar, but it's just an illusion. You still have your health and your mana bar. You also take their attack range, so you can use it to farm further away minions if you want to do that. You also take their attack speed, so if you pick someone like Graves, you aren't like auto-attacking super fast because that's just unrealistic. Graves, has its own unique auto-attacking mechanism. And I believe buffs and debuffs are shown on your champions, so if you take the form of someone who's got red buff or something, it should be showing it on you. Some things you don't take, however, are their AD as mentioned before. And if the enemy champion clicks on you during game to see what items you have, it will only show your actual items, not the allies. So that's one way of kind of figuring out who's Neeko and who's the fake one. And you don't get bonus movement speed from items such as Lich Bane or bonus movement speed that comes from abilities. So with your E-Tangle Barbs, as you know, if you hit the first two enemies, then the next ones have empowered root duration and it grows in size and it's faster. So the last champion hit will obviously take the longer root duration. But what you might not know is that even if the enemy champions aren't necessarily in this straight line, if they're kind of like next to each other, because it grows in size, you can actually root both of them. So that's another thing you can do. And obviously in game, if you treat these two as minions and as enemy champion there, you always want to get the first two off so that they have the empowered one, so that it's easier to hit your Q. You get 2 stacks for free basically when you have the empowered route, and the third one you kind of just shoot it where you think they're going to walk so they can't run away from it. In terms of your W shape splitter, you both actually start invisible at the very beginning. So if you kind of look at the shadow beneath you and your clone, it's gone at the beginning, but then it pops up, and yeah. If you also look at the movement speed, you both get bonus movement speed, so you can use W to get back to lane faster or as part of an escape. You can also use your W to give yourself a vision like this. And if you really want people to be confused about which one's you, make sure you are moving completely straight, because that's the only thing your W does. But it does curve around walls. It should be doing it now, yeah. And there's also this really weird interaction where if you're trying to get it inside the dragon pit, it just doesn't go. I'm not really sure why. It does go out, and it does actually go through the dragon, so I'm not sure why it does that, but yeah. And your W is passive, where the third auto attack deals bonus magic damage. It doesn't have to be on the same champion, so it's not like Vayne basically. So we just auto attack that, we have the charge, and now we can use it on this one. Once again, we use one auto attack on this minion, second, and our third one is charged, and we can use it on whichever one we want. So try to get your charges before you engage in a fight, and remember, it does give you bonus movement speeds which you can use to chase the enemy champion. When you're poking in lane with Q, try to use it behind them so that when they're walking away, they're walking into it. Your Q doesn't give vision, but obviously if it hits an enemy champion, you will hear it go off again. And when you're farming, try to get the minions kind of in like pyramid, well, half pyramid level of health. So have one that's a bit high, one's a bit lower, so that when you Q, the one that kills causes the reburst of the Q, which then kills the other minions, which then kills the other minions. Kind of something like that, just to be more efficient with your farming. And if you're farming with Neeko, then remember you can actually root the buffs. Because you only get 1 stack when they're kind of rooted, try to shoot it in the direction that the buff's going to move. So we know they're going to move this way after their root's gone, so like that we can get 3 stacks on them. Your ultimate Pop Blossom takes 1.25 seconds to charge before you go into the air, and you can move around during this charge time to get into position. And obviously if you're camouflaged and while taking an ally's form, this charge won't be seen by the enemies. When you're in the air, however, you can't move around, but you do get a shield that lasts slightly till after you finish your ultimate. And also when you're in the air, enemies around you get slowed and that's only for when you're in the air, not during the charge time. The shield you get is increased based on how many enemy champions are in your ultimate area, so don't be afraid to go in. And when you land and deal big magic damage, it is a stun that's applied to enemies, not a root, which is what your E does. CC will affect you while you ult, but it will not interrupt it. You can also use Zhonya's while you're charging up. If you press it while you're in the air, actually, it only happens once you land. So I pressed it, and we go Zhonya's as soon as we land. So let's say we want to engage for our team, and they're going to be doing most of the damage. We just want to root everyone. So, for example, there might be a MF ult happening. Then we want to Zhonya's as late as possible while we're in the air so that we are safe while our teammates are getting all the kills. So you're not invincible while you're ulting, you can die. And you do take damage while you're in the air and can still die. In terms of level 1, I definitely recommend going Q because it's very easy to hit on them. And obviously you have the opportunity to get multiple stacks on them. And for level 2, getting E makes it even easier actually to get the Q off, and does quite a lot of damage when it's combined. And then you probably only need one of the W's only for vision, or if you're really scared of getting ganked or something. But if that's not a problem, then probably go Q again for level 3 and max Q first, then E, then W, and obviously ult whenever you can. In terms of combos, the obvious basic one is E and Q, and you want to Q in the direction they're going to go afterwards. And there are two main ways, well, main combos of doing your ultimate with all of your other abilities. Let's say you are taking an allied champion's form, and obviously using your Q or your E will break the form, and you don't want the charge time of the ultimate to be shown. So obviously you're going to have to W first while you do that so that they don't see the charge. Well, you could just ultimate because they won't see the charge anyway, but W just gives you a bit more movement speed to get into position. And after you do that, you can Q them and then E them, not E and then Q. And the reason is, obviously, when you're ulting them, they're being stunned for 1.25 seconds. There's no point of having them stunned, and then the first thing you do is rooting them. It's just inefficient. So after you have the ultimate off, you want to Q them so they're taking damage, and as you're running away, immediately press E, because if you press E a bit late after your Q, then you see the stun's gone, and then there's a little gap that they can move. But if you press it immediately, so Q and then E, then it roots kind of just on time. It starts as soon as the stun's finished. And another good combo, if you're not kind of taking an ally's form and you're just by yourself, obviously you want to W once again to get extra speed, and then you want to E them and Q them and then ult. Because like this, the E makes it so that they can't run away from your ultimate, and the Q, obviously they're taking damage while they're there. And as soon as the E's finished, so as soon as the root duration's finished, you'll be, well, short after, you'll be in the air, which will slow them, so it's even harder for them to get away from the stun of the ultimate. So if we show this on the rise, if we do this, do that, get the ultimate ready, and do that, and we might as well just exhaust him. Now obviously I've got CDR down, but let's imagine we have none of our abilities, and then we can get a nice kill. Well, the first combo I mentioned, if we're taking an ally's formed, and we're going to do this, then we're going to Q, and then E immediately, and then, yeah. 4 runes, these are the runes I like to go on Neeko. The Comet is just really easy to hit. This really helps with getting your mana, because you do use quite a lot of mana, and this kind of makes it a very nice, smooth journey. And because you can fairly safely poke the enemy champion, you're most likely going to be above 70% health most of the time, so it can actually help just increase your damage. But you could always go Transcendence and get some extra CDR, although your CDR for your Q is like really low. So you don't really struggle from having CDR problems. And Scorch just because even more damage, but of course you could go Gathering Storm if you want more AP later on. And then with Domination, want to go Cheap Shot because obviously the root, the stun, all of that deal even more damage, why not? And Ravenous Hunter just to get a bit more life steal going on with your abilities, but you could also go Eyeball Collection to get more AP later on. And standard damage, health. Now in terms of item builds, I always like to start with Dark Harvest and Refillable Potion. Now there's 2 main paths I like to take. The first one is going either Ludens, so getting Lost Chapter to get some more mana regen, then finishing off Ludens. I then like to take Rylai's Crystal Scepter because you're just slow, it's just crazy. You know, do that, they're slowed. Do E, they're slowed, it's nice. And it also gives you health, which is nice when you want to go in with your ult. Then usually you get Rabadon's Death Cap just to get even more AP. And then for boots, Sorcerer's Shoes, so you get even more Magic Pen. And then to finish it off, if they have a lot of MR, Void Staff, and if they have a lot of health, Neeko. I still don't know how to pronounce that. But then obviously you can go Zhonya, so you can Zhonya them while they're while you're ulting, I mean. But another path that's actually worked quite well that I like to do is going Rod of Ages first, so that you're getting more health to prepare for your ultimate later on, and then going Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and then either going straight for Death Cap or going for Ludens, and then of course, like before, either Void Staff or Neeko or both. But I think at the moment the Rod of Ages build is kind of my favorite. It just feels a lot more stable, especially with your going when you're going for the ultimate. You just don't really die as quickly, and you don't necessarily need to have the Zhonyas for this one. But yeah, that's all. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how you found it, and if you're excited to see Neeko live, I really can't wait. Probably going to be one of my favorite champs for mid lane, and even support or even jungle. I mean, who knows? She can do a lot of things. So yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next video. Adios.